I realize the lateness of the day, so I'll try to keep it brief but informative. I'd like to thank the meeting organizers for the opportunity to present the company and give you a quick update on our latest progress. For those of you who don't know RhinoCyte, we are an adult stem cell company, and we believe we have a transformational technology that will change the way that neurodegenerative diseases are treated. We are advancing treatment paradigms that leverage these novel cell therapeutics for unmet clinical needs, the first of which is spinal cord injury, and second is Parkinson's disease. Our founder and Chief Scientific Officer, Dr. Fred Roizen, had studied for many years the Rhine-Olfactory epithelium. He looked at the tissue in this particular part of the body. He felt that it had some key characteristics that were worth noting, including the high lifelong regenerative capacity of the tissue, the stem cells, which were readily accessible, and the fact that it was autologous from the patient and potentially back to the patient in terms of a treatment. He felt that these cells had some very interesting characteristics. They could become motor or sensory neurons, oligodendrocytes, and other support cells for the body. And further, his thinking looked to what degenerative conditions could be helped by these cells potentially. I've talked about the first two, but we also have seen preliminary data in ALS, MS, other neurodegenerative diseases, and most recently in type 1 diabetes. We believe that RhinoCyte as an opportunity has several advantages. We believe it's unique in terms of its safety profile, the ease of harvesting these cells, and we've observed over 150 patients over a 3-year period in different lines, and it's a very stable cell. And the autologous nature of the cell, we believe, is an advantage from a safety perspective. The cells respond to unique signals in the environment, and they do not require genetic engineering, which again, we think that stability and not requiring that additional manipulation is a positive. These easily established lines do allow for cloning, and that creates an opportunity for multiple doses from one cell harvest. Again, we do think this is a transformational technology, and it can be targeted toward many diseases of high unmet clinical need in terms of neurodegenerative opportunities. In terms of key product attributes from the cell, we talked about the autologous nature of the opportunity from a simple outpatient biopsy. It will be produced in a centralized cGMP facility. It doesn't require any downstreaming in terms of processing at the administering clinic. It can be cryopreserved, and that gives us flexibility in scheduling depending on the patient preferences, and there is no immunosuppression. I'd like to just review quickly the elements of our spinal cord injury opportunity. We have validated the spinal cord injury in several different animal models. First, the hemisection, which we took to the FDA, and they requested contusion, and so both of these models were completed with all the necessary testing. The contusion model actually will be in the forefront of the package that we'll be submitting to the FDA in the first quarter of next year. Hemisection model will provide a backdrop and background for the cell and additional in-depth information. The market opportunity for this particular disease state is it's a rare disease state. We do have an orphan drug designation in this particular disease model. 1.3 million patients is our estimate currently, with 13,000 new patients annually in the United States. One of the things that we think we can affect with this treatment is the cost to keeping these patients healthy and productive. There's a $40 billion annual cost to this, and if we could just make a small improvement perhaps in bladder control or some type of function, it could be a huge opportunity for the patient in terms of quality of life. We do have strong supportive data that we've collected for this spinal cord injury opportunity. In addition to the orphan drug designation, we believe that it does provide the 7-year exclusivity and the $1 million grant for Phase 1 and Phase 2. In terms of our IND submission, I mentioned that we had completed the pivotal tox and biodistribution studies. The manufacturing facility, we are finalizing some studies that the FDA has asked of us. The qualification of the facility will take place shortly, and we will be getting our samples for our product submission with the IND document from this facility. We do expect that the analysis and the IND submission with the 2 sample products will be complete in the first quarter of next year, and the Phase 1 preparation and initiation in the second quarter of next year. Our regulatory team has been headed by Dr. Joy Cavagnero for the last 5 years. Joy was one of the architects with the current CBER division. She's very knowledgeable in the regulatory environment and very practical as well when you're dealing with a company such as ours, which is very small. Catherine Bernard has been a great addition in the last year. She is a CMC expert and has done a tremendous job in helping us not only understand our CMC obligations, but how we can do it as a small company. And then Dr. Williams has put together many IND submission packages for a cellular company, so we feel like we're in good hands. Just briefly, in terms of our Phase 1, Phase 2 multi-center trial, it will be an open-label trial. Will be 20 patients. These patients will be subacute, functionally complete injuries from T3 to T12. We are targeting patients at 120 days post-injury. The reason for this is we believe spontaneous recovery will be complete at this point, and that any change that we see in the patient will be attributed to the treatment of the cell. Primary endpoints do include safety, of course. There will be secondary endpoints for multiple outcome measure that will show biological response to the treatment, so there will be an opportunity for additional information as we go forward in the trial. We obviously are targeting primarily safety in the study, but there will be some efficacy parameters as well that may lead us to some additional information and analysis. Our clinical team for the Phase 1 trial, Dr. Jonathan Hodes, has agreed to be our Chief Medical Officer. He is an experienced neurosurgeon and has just completed a Phase 1 clinical trial with an epidural stimulator, and he was able to complete that trial within 1 year. He has had some initial input on the Phase 1 and will be shaping that as we go forward. Dr. Welby Winstead has been a friend of the company for the last 15 years and has given us biopsies over that time period to study at no cost. So Dr. Winstead really believes in the technology and would like to see it go forward, and he'll be working with Dr. Hodes on the biopsy procedure and then the protocol development. In terms of optimization, I mentioned that we are looking to optimize several lines for the cGMP facility. We continue with the process translation in the translational lab that we have in the same building as we'll have the cGMP facility as well. We talked a little bit about the product submission for the IND and the production of the Phase 1 material. Our manufacturing team, which has come together quite nicely, Dr. David Phelps and Catherine McLeod working very closely on the commercial side of things. Dr. Liu has been with Dr. Roizen working with the cell for over 20 years and knows it very well, and Yang Song is his assistant and will be the lab manager as we move forward into the manufacturing process. We have had the final cGMP layout reviewed by the FDA, and although they don't give formal approval, they've given us their recommendations, and those have been incorporated into the layout. And just real quickly, as we look forward, we do believe we have an opportunity in Parkinson's disease as well. So although spinal cord injury is our first product, there has been quite a bit of work done in this modality with cells. We believe that given the RhinoCytes becoming the dopaminergic neurons in the brain, this would give a great opportunity to many patients that suffer, especially late-stage Parkinson's. There are 1.5 million Parkinson's disease patients in the U.S. with 60,000 new cases annually, so it's sort of a flip side of the spinal cord injury market. It's a very large market with a lot of high unmet clinical need, and although there are certainly pharmaceutical interventions over time, they do lose their effectiveness, so we do believe that the cell and this treatment could be very positive for these patients. In terms of the this is an older slide, so I do apologize for that. Actually, it should be third quarter 15. We do have external collaboration that we have initiated. The pivotal studies will obviously be third quarter 15 as well, and the IND submission 2016. In terms of our intellectual property portfolio, our patent estate includes both the cell and their use and the modification of the cells. We do have the U.S. We just received positive notification on Europe, and that should be finalized in the next month or so. The modification of the cells, as we talked about, is part of the overall patent estate. And then we have taken Parkinson's disease and diabetes out from under the umbrella and additionally added 2 different patents that will specifically address those disease states. We also have a positive Freedom to Operate report that was issued in 2010, and we believe that as we go forward, we'll certainly look at an update to that, but it does seem very positive for these disease states. In terms of business development, we're welcoming Dr. John Rice. He's a founder and managing partner with Triathlon Medical Ventures. He's going to be helping us look at our business development and our path going forward. We also have been working with Maury Ruffin for several years now, and he's been terrific with us as a startup and what we need to do strategically look forward to alliances and partnerships. We continue to look at collaboration as well as investment and liquidity opportunities. There are small and mid-sized regenerative medicine companies that we can look at. There are non-dilutive partnerships that certainly have opportunity, and then relationship building with large pharma. We have witnessed recently an investigator at the University of Louisville that had a technology that was licensed to Novartis recently that we watched with a great deal of interest because the model is very close to what our model is. So we think there's a lot of opportunities, and we're certainly open to each of those. We also are looking for partnerships for Phase 1, Phase 2, although we do have our Phase 1 fully paid for the Louisville site, and we will have up to 20 patients at that site. There are opportunities for partnerships and other locations for Phase 1. We also have been speaking to the other regenerative medicine companies that are part of the ARM group over time, and one example is Neostem, but again, we're looking at lots of different opportunities as we go forward. In terms of our financial status and our raise, we did have a Series A when the company was established that was $5+ million. We're in the first tranche of a Series B, and we're looking toward the $1.5 million to get the company moving to the next steps. Our investors include the University of Louisville Foundation, which has pledged to pay for the Phase 1 clinical trial, but in addition to that has offered other investment as well. Our use of funds will be the IND submission, the planning of the Phase 1, the qualified manufacturing facility, and moving into the clinic. In terms of the Series B, the second tranche of the $8.5 million has been initiated, and we're currently talking to other partners and looking to other expertise to take us to the next step. So the value proposition is potential cures for high unmet clinical needs, a pipeline of unique personalized medical products that are leveraged for key markets. We're looking to develop these assets through Phase 1 or Phase 2 and then look at partnerships, but certainly we're open to other models as well. And we look at exit opportunities perhaps within the next 3 to 4 years. So we will have this transformational technology targeting rare diseases in the next year. There will be a cell manufacturing facility producing products for human clinical trials, and we believe we have an innovative Phase 1 program that will treat these severely injured spinal cord patients, and hopefully we'll have some terrific results to share with you next year. I know the time is short this afternoon, so I'm going to ask that if you have any questions or you'd like to discuss anything further, I'll be at the reception afterwards, and I'll let the next company come up and take their turn.